Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our 2014 Novi Police and Fire Awards ceremony. My name is David Malloy, and I have the privilege and honor of serving as the Director of Public Safety and the Chief of Police here for the City of Novi. Even better than that, I have the greatest honor because I get to serve alongside all these men and women that we'll be recognizing here tonight. That is truly the highest honor one could imagine. This evening, we join together to recognize several of our outstanding individuals who have performed valiantly and professionally in their professional service to the City of Novi. But what I think is equally as important is the fact that we have two very professional organizations who work together seamlessly to deliver emergency services, provide public services, and they come together with common values of honesty, integrity, professionalism, honor, service, and duty. And these are not just words, but they're the core values that the men and women from the Novi Fire and Police Departments possess and embody. As I call your name off this evening, if you could please join me on the platform here. Enter to my left, to your right, where you'll receive your award. We'll take a brief moment for a photograph with the photographer, and then you can exit stage right. First award this evening, I'd like to call Sergeant Brian Woloski. One of the commitments that we have for all of our command officers in the public safety realm is for them to attend an advanced program of staff and command. Every single year, Eastern Michigan University hosts a 10-month program which identifies key leaders in the organization of fire and police services. This school is 10 months long, 1 week per month, in which the individual attends all week long. The course of study consists of strategic planning, budgeting, communication skills, leadership strategies, and advanced computer skills. Part of the curriculum is for each student to complete a case study on a current trend in law enforcement. Sergeant Woloski completed his research during staff and command on the legality and practicality of unmanned drones and their use in law enforcement. The 2013 School of Police Staff and Command consisted of 32 students from 22 different law enforcement agencies. I'm very proud to announce that Sergeant Brian Woloski finished 6th in the class out of 32 students. Would you all please join me in congratulating Sergeant Brian Woloski in his continued efforts in personal growth and development. Congratulations. Nice job. Thanks. Firefighters Eric Altstadt and Vincent Schirra. Much like the staff and command programs that we always encourage and try to mandate that our personnel attend, we also place a very high emphasis on advanced education in the Novi Fire and Police Departments. It's with honor and distinction tonight that we recognize two firefighters with advanced educational degree awards. Eric Altstadt has earned his master's degree in business administration with distinction from Lawrence Technological University. Eric's a member of our paid-on-call team at Station 4 and has always been a reliable and conscientious member of our department. I'd also like to recognize firefighter Vincent Schirra for obtaining his advanced degree. Vincent's a graduate of Wayne State University, and he has a business administration degree, and he serves on our paid-on-call team operating out of Station 3. Much like Eric, Vincent's a positive and reliable member of our team, always dedicated to self-improvement in whatever he does. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in recognizing these two individuals for the dedication and commitment they exemplify in earning their advanced master's degrees. Eric, congratulations. Thank you, sir. Return to your nice job. Congratulations. Thank you. If I could call upon Detective Sergeant Scott Batens, Lieutenant Eric Zinzer, and Assistant Chief Jared Hart. Continuing in our path and our goal of advanced training and growth and development, we obviously encourage everyone to pursue the higher level of education, and we're committed to investing in the growth of our men and women. We take great pride in the achievement that more than 60% of all our command officers have earned an advanced degree, whether it's a master's degree or a law degree. Becoming a lifelong learner takes great discipline and dedication. These gentlemen committed countless hours away from their family and work responsibilities, completing more than 30 credit hours while earning a Master's of Science and Technology degree with a concentration in Public Safety Emergency Management from Eastern Michigan University. Their efforts were rewarded on April 26 of 2013 with their master's degree when they were conferred upon them. Please recognize Assistant Chief Jared Hart, Acting Assistant Chief Eric Zinzer, and Detective Sergeant Scott Batens on this advanced degree achievement. Congratulations. Lieutenant Remo Oliverio. One of the enhancements we've made in the fire department in the last couple of years was to add fire lieutenants to each shift, so each captain has an executive officer and an additional fire officer to help them on emergency scenes, whether it's fire suppression or delivering advanced life support services. Since being promoted to lieutenant, Reno Oliverio has not only taken on the role of a mentor for many of our new higher fire protection officer and auxiliary firefighters, but he's also taken on the responsibility of updating many of our rules and regulations and the policies and procedures. He's taken ownership of many special projects, including our emergency radio communication systems and all fire apparatus, and the programming and developing of our portable radios, as well as implementing enhanced training. Lieutenant Oliverio has worked diligently on an updated apparatus maintenance schedule, which tracks weekly, monthly, and quarterly on all the apparatus work that is done in terms of maintenance. Remo always has a positive and optimistic demeanor and continues to progress in his development as a fire command officer. Please join me in recognizing and congratulating Lieutenant Remo Oliverio with a letter of commendation. Good job, Remo. Congratulations. Dispatcher Brianne Sailors, Officer Sean Penzak, Officer Haley Penzak, and Officer James Ruman of the Livonia Police Department. Good evening. On April 7th of 2013, the Novi Police Department was dispatched to the 12-mile crossing at Fountain Walk parking lot for a victim who had been intentionally ran over by a car with 4 occupants. The car was last seen fleeing the area. Acting quickly before officers arrived on the scene, dispatcher Brianne Sailors immediately sent out a Be on the Lookout, or a BOL, with vehicle and suspect descriptions. Officer Sean Penzak arrived and located several key witnesses, while at the same time directed other arriving officers. Officer Haley Penzak located the victim and was able to obtain a statement which included a full description of the suspect and the vehicle the suspects were driving. This description matched the description in the BOL sent out prior to officers arriving. Officer Sean Penzak continued with his investigation, locating a second victim who was also assaulted by the 3 passengers in the vehicle. In the meantime, Officer James Ruman of the Livonia Police Department had been alerted of the Be on the Lookout. Officer Ruman spotted the suspect vehicle on southbound I-275 and eventually stopped the vehicle without incident. Based on the information obtained at the scene, all 4 occupants were arrested and brought to Novi Police Headquarters. All 4 suspects have since been charged and pled guilty to felony assault, which could have resulted in severe physical impairment and potentially loss of life. Please join me in congratulating these fine men and women for a job well done. Thanks. Congratulations. Thanks for coming up. Congratulations. Good job, buddy. going to be like the Academy Awards, I think, for Sean Penzak tonight. Officer Sean Penzak and Officer Brady Reese. On June 5th, 2013, Officers Penzak and Reese were dispatched to Best Buy for a report of a male subject holding a camera up a young lady's skirt and taking photographs. A rapid and effective response by the officers enabled them to quickly locate the suspect, who was in the parking lot sitting in a van. Upon speaking to the subject, the officers gained permission to search his phone. It was at that time they located numerous pictures of women's personal groin areas, and one picture actually showed an angle of the photograph looking up the young girl's skirt. The officers didn't stop there. They went through the store canvassing for additional witnesses and located several key witnesses who assisted in prosecution. Due to their quick response and thorough investigation, an arrest was made, and a case that otherwise may have gone unsolved was quickly resolved. The suspect has recently pled no contest to possession of child sexually abusive and explicit materials and is awaiting his criminal sentencing. Please join me in recognizing these officers with a letter of commendation. Nice job, buddy. Thank you. Fire Protection Officers Scott Perry, Kevin Pierce, Tim Kronovich, and Matt Markin. On July 22nd, 2013, at approximately 12:05 p.m., Fire Protection Officers Perry, Pierce, Kronovich, and Markin responded in Ladder 1 to 43535 Grand River for a female subject who had passed out and was in and out of consciousness. Upon arrival, these members not only held to the highest degree of professionalism in taking appropriate patient and medical care, but they also took care for the patient's young daughter, who was in a state of shock after having witnessed her mother in this condition of unconsciousness. The patient, following her recovery, took the time to contact our Public Safety Administration and relay her thanks for the outstanding performance and quality care and attention to detail for both her and her daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please join me in recognizing these fire protection officers for their professional performance with a letter of commendation. Congratulations. Detective Sergeant Scott Batens and Officer Lou Bigliardi. On July 22, 2013, Sergeant Batens and Officer Bigliardi were dispatched to a suicidal subject who had just run away from his doctor's office. The subject was brought to the office by his sister because he had thoughts of wanting to harm himself and or commit suicide. The subject had left the office and was threatening to use physical force against the police, and he reported to his sister that he had a weapon in his car. Sergeant Batens coordinated the response effort of his officers to search the area and interviewed the complainant. Ultimately, Sergeant Batens would find the subject walking down the roadway and kept the mentally unstable and suicidal man very calm. Officer Bigliardi was able to assist and help to develop a rapport with the individual, keeping him calm, diffusing the situation, and preventing it from becoming a physical altercation. After a lengthy conversation with the subject, Officer Bigliardi convinced the man to walk to the nearby ambulance for further treatment as his doctor ordered. Once the subject was committed for psychiatric evaluation, Sergeant Batens did find, in fact, a firearm in the subject's vehicle. Please join me in offering special thanks and appreciation to Sergeant Scott Batens and Officer Bigliardi for promptly finding this subject, calming him, and their skillful efforts at preventing injury to subject responding officers. Congratulations. Nice job. Fire Protection Officer Andrew Copeland. Ironically, on the same day, while these gentlemen were dealing with the suicidal subject, Fire Protection Officer Copeland was working on the other side of town assisting a local businessman and getting his business open for production. That day, we received a phone call from Mr. Thomas Resnick, President and Chief Operating Officer of Dan Law Incorporated. He was praising Fire Protection Officer Copeland for his insight and helpfulness with assisting his company with the safe and proper installation of the fire protection system during their initial construction phase of their business. Per Mr. Resnick, Fire Protection Officer Copeland was very instrumental in educating my entire team in the fire protection system, the alarm capabilities, the emergency lighting and warning systems, and the security lockbox known as Knox boxes. Without Fire Protection Officer Copeland's assistance, my company would still be in limbo between moving from Farmington Hills to Novi. They are now back to concentrating on doing business in Novi and for the growth of both their company and the community of Novi. Ladies and gentlemen, it's this type of quality customer service and professionalism of our team members which can exhibit and continue to encourage business growth and development and retain the high-quality industry we are known for having in Novi. Please join me in congratulating Fire Protection Officer Andrew Copeland with a letter of commendation. Well done, Andrew. Thank you. Officer Tim Farrell, Officer Dan Jenkinson, Officer Alan Hashem, and Officer Michael Giacino. On August 1st of 2013, these officers were dispatched to the Extended Stay Hotel on Haggerty Road for a call of gunshots coming from one of the rooms. Upon arrival, Officers Farrell, Giacino, and Hashem formed an arrest team utilizing a ballistic shield and a patrol rifle, while Officer Jenkinson maintained perimeter security near the room where the shots had come from. The room door was locked and nothing could be heard from inside. It was at that time that Command made the decision to deploy the Special Response Team from Southwest Oakland County. Unfortunately, the shooter was eventually found deceased in the room with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. These officers acted quickly, without hesitation, placing themselves in harm's way as they approached the hotel room as an arrest team. Please join me in recognizing these officers with a letter of commendation. Officer Elisa Brown. Officer Sean Penzak and Canine Moose. Canine Moose was born on December 30th, 2005, and is from German descent, and his father enjoyed a career in public service as a search and rescue dog in suburban Chicago. Officer Sean Penzak purchased Moose in February of 2006, and he became his new partner, immediately beginning training at the Midwest Michigan Police Canine Academy. Moose joined the City of Novi family when he was sworn in for duty as a police canine in May of 2007. Please allow me to share some of the highlights of Moose's career thus far. Throughout his career, Moose was always ready to serve. He was responsible for turning an ordinary traffic stop into a $60,000 money seizure and the apprehension of a known Arizona gang member wanted for drug trafficking. Moose demonstrated his tracking skills recently when the Novi Police Department received a call of a young female in her 20s wanting to take her own life. She had taken an unknown amount of pills and had been inhaling the fumes from a can of spray paint. The young lady ran away and into the woods. Due to it being dark at night, Moose tracked the young lady and found her hiding behind some trees. She was transported to the hospital for medical care. It was dark, and with his partner, Officer Sean Penzak, later stated, without the track, he would never have seen the young lady if it not had been for Moose. Moose was not only a valuable and respected member of the city of Novi, but his skills and commitment were felt across southeast Michigan as he assisted countless police agencies on the local, state, and federal level with in drug trafficking investigations, finding narcotics, or just being at the ready for a police operation. Moose never asked to be a police canine, and he never filled out an application. However, he was chosen. All the hard training days, hot and cold weather, rain and snow, he never complained. Moose loved coming to work, whether it was tracking someone, looking for narcotics, getting treats in dispatch, or catching his tennis ball over 100 times from kids at a demonstration. He loved every minute of it. Officer Penzak recently stated, "I am the fortunate one that had the opportunity to share my career with Moose." We'd like to thank and recognize Officer Sean Penzak and K-9 Moose for more than 6 years of dedicated service to the city of Novi and beyond. Moose will now call the Penzak home his retirement village and wish him the very best in this next chapter. Congratulations, Moose. Nice job. Good deal. Thanks, man. Detective Jeff Brown. Detective Jeff Brown was assigned to the Drug Enforcement Administration, Detroit Field Division, as a task force officer from 2009 to 2012. Detective Brown was part of a 5-month-long investigation spanning 4 states and 2 countries, from Novi to Mexico. This investigation in particular resulted in the seizure of 65 kilograms of heroin, 10 kilograms of cocaine, and $500,000 in cash from a home in the city of Pontiac. Much of the seizure was the result of a simple traffic stop, one of the basic tenets of effective police work. At that time, the seizure was the largest heroin seizure in the state of Michigan. 5 known drug trafficking suspects and a major drug trafficking organization was dismantled, and they were all indicted on federal charges and are currently serving lengthy prison sentences. During his tenure, Detective Brown took advantage of yet another simple traffic stop and the instincts of a young Novi police officer. Throughout the traffic stop investigation, the officer sensed that something seemed out of the ordinary and that things weren't adding up. The officer contacted Jeff Brown and turned the information and the probable cause he had developed over to Detective Brown, who launched an immediate investigation into the driver and his history. That led to the seizure of more than $500,000 and 3 luxury vehicles. In 2011, Detective Brown was once again demonstrated his commitment to relentless follow-up and assessment. He was assigned an anonymous letter indicating potential narcotic activity at a local address here in Novi. After a 2-month investigation and dozens of hours of surveillance, Detective Brown coordinated simultaneous search warrants at 3 homes across southeast Michigan. Evidence gleaned from those homes indicated a 4th home was serving as the money house for cash and assets. A search of the 4th home resulted in the seizure of $250,000 in currency and over $200,000 in stolen and suspected jewelry. In 2012, Detective Brown once again was called upon by uniformed police officers of our department on a possible marijuana cultivation operation at a home here in Novi. He responded from his home at 1 in the morning. Based on his observations, the probable cause presented at the scene, he was able to draft and secure a search warrant to the district court. Less than 5 hours later, 42 guns were recovered, and the homeowner was in custody for operating a large-scale marijuana cultivation operation. The homeowner was later convicted of manufacturing marijuana and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. These are just a few of the successful cases Detective Jeff Brown led as a task force officer with the DEA Detroit Field Division. Please join me in recognizing Detective Jeff Brown for his exemplary efforts with an Individual Achievement Award. Nice job, Brown. Officer Chris Frankowiak. In 2012, more than 10,000 traffic deaths in the United States involved an alcohol-impaired driver, with 256 of those deaths alone in Michigan. The Novi Police Department takes great pride in our proactive efforts to reduce drunk driving. In 2012, the Novi Department ranked 7th in the state of Michigan for drunk driving arrests with 342 arrests. In 2013, the Novi Police Department was recognized by Mothers Against Drunk Driving with the Outstanding Law Enforcement Agency Award. Officer Chris Frankowiak is a consummate leader in these efforts, arresting more drunk drivers than any other Novi police officer year after year. Officer Frankowiak is a 3-time recipient of the Novi Police Department's Mothers Against Drunk Driver Award and a 2-time recipient of MADD's Outstanding Law Enforcement Officer Award. In 2013, Officer Frankowiak continued to be a leader, arresting 54 drunk drivers, with a significant majority pleading guilty to the charges without trial. Please join me in recognizing Officer Chris Frankowiak as the recipient of the Novi Police Department's MADD Award. Chris. Could I ask Deputy Richardson and Canine Blitz to join us on stage? Also involved in this investigation was Officer Amanda Kulikowski of the Novi Police Department, who could not be with us this evening, and Task Force Officer George Cerulis, who cannot be identified due to ongoing undercover investigations. On January 22, 2013, the Novi Police Department received information from Federal Express of a shipment that was believed to be narcotics headed to Novi. Detective Kulikowski at the time was assigned to the Drug Enforcement Administration's Detroit Field Division as a task force officer in Group 6. Detective Kulikowski worked swiftly and intercepted the shipment, taking possession of the package when it arrived in Novi. Deputy Michael Richardson of the Oakland County Sheriff's Department responded to the Novi Police Department, and Deputy Richardson's partner, Canine Blitz, quickly alerted on the package, indicating the presence of narcotics. Assisted by the Drug Enforcement Agency Task Force Officer George Cerulis, the department conducted a controlled delivery of that package to an address here in Novi. Once the delivery was made, an anticipatory search warrant was secured for the arrest. More than 2 pounds of high-grade marijuana with a street value in excess of $8,000 was recovered as a result of their efforts. If it were not for the tireless work and determination of Detective Kulikowski, Deputy Richardson, Canine Blitz, and Officer Cerulis, 2 pounds of high-grade marijuana worth $8,000 would have made it to the streets of Novi. Please join me in recognizing these dedicated officers with a unit citation. Michael, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Awesome. Nice job. Detective Michael Bender, Officer Sean Penzak, and Officer Dan Jenkinson. On June 24, 2013, Officers Jenkinson, Penzak, and Bender were dispatched to 12 Oaks Mall for a retail fraud complaint at Macy's. Officers learned that the suspects had crashed their vehicle while attempting to flee from the mall. One suspect stayed in the car, while the second suspect ran away on foot with her 9-year-old daughter. The suspect who stayed in the car was arrested based on an outstanding fugitive warrant from another jurisdiction. Officer Jenkinson radioed a description of the fleeing suspect to other responding units. While the other units began searching, Officer Jenkinson located much of the stolen property in the vehicle during an inventory search. Detective Bender, then Officer Bender, and Officer Sean Penzak located the second subject in a cemetery across the street from the mall. At the time of the arrest, the fleeing suspect did not have any stolen merchandise on her person, and she would not talk to the officers. Officer Sean Penzak took the initiative and located additional stolen property in a dumpster inside the cemetery. With the coordinated efforts of these officers, a fleeing felony retail fraud suspect was apprehended, a fugitive was taken off the street, and over $2,000 of stolen merchandise was recovered, despite the suspect's attempts to conceal the property. The 9-year-old daughter was found safely and turned over to a relative. The suspect has since pled guilty to retail fraud and child endangerment charges and is awaiting sentencing. Please join me in recognizing the outstanding work of these 3 officers in conducting a complete and thorough investigation and removing a habitual career offender from our area. Congratulations on your unit citation. Michael Bender, well done. Danny, cleaning up tonight. Nice job. Sergeant Mark Booty, Detective Christy Grunwald, Officer Scott Tews, Officer Tom Orlowski, Officer John Corder, Detective Tim Lillard, Special Agent Kevin Nowakowski, and Special Agent Ryan Holmes. On October 9th, 2013, Officers Tews, Orlowski, and Corder were all dispatched to a Novi residence to investigate a possible criminal sexual conduct involving a 13-year-old victim originally meeting with the victim in an alternate location. Upon arrival, it was quickly learned that the suspect in the case was the 13-year-old victim's uncle, who resides in the home with her. In addition, officers learned that the suspect was currently at the home with the 2-year-old child that he was supervising, and that the suspect had a warrant for his arrest. Officers Tews, Orlowski, and Corder acted quickly, responding to the suspect's residence to prevent him from leaving. Ultimately, the suspect was taken into custody on an outstanding fugitive warrant. While responding to the scene, Officer Tews contacted Sergeant Booty, then Detective Booty, and requested assistance at the scene. Detectives Booty and Grunwald met with the victim, who provided a detailed account of how her 38-year-old uncle had been repeatedly sexually assaulting her since she was 9 years old for the past 4 years. Later in the same day, Detectives Booty and Grunwald interviewed the suspect at police headquarters. Once the suspect waived his Miranda warnings, and he provided a full and detailed confession to all of the sexual assaults. During the interview, the suspect provided consent, enabling investigators to search the suspect's phone and personal computer. United States Secret Service agent Ryan Holmes and Detective Tim Lillard, both assigned to the Southeast Michigan Financial Crimes Task Force here in Novi, worked together, recovering hundreds of child pornographic pictures and videos of the victim. U.S. Secret Service agent Kevin Nowakowski, also assigned to the task force, assisted in the investigation, ensuring the suspect was charged with a federal offense of manufacturing and production of child pornography. This violent and dangerous suspect has since pled guilty to all federal charges and faces up to 50 years in a federal prison. Additionally, the suspect has been charged through the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office with 4 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree and 3 counts of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree. The suspect will serve an additional minimum mandatory sentence of 25 years for the sexual encounters with a child under 13 years of age. It is our hope that this individual will be incarcerated for the remainder of his natural life so he can never harm another child. Please join me in thanking and congratulating these officers, detectives, and agents for working collaboratively to remove an extremely dangerous criminal from our community. I am extremely honored to award each and every one of them a unit citation. Congratulations. Well done, Mark. Christy, nice job. Good job. Thank you. Hey, John, congratulations. Kevin, congratulations. Ryan, nice job. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Todd Sogg, firefighters Matt Blamey, and firefighter Michael Hensknecht. On September 14th, 2013, at 4:18 a.m., Lieutenant Sogg, firefighters Blamey and Hans Connect responded to 45145 Ellery for a woman in labor. While en route to the scene, the dispatchers advised and updated the crews that the baby had been born but was not breathing. Upon arrival, it was discovered that the infant was in respiratory distress. This team quickly cleared the airway and cut the umbilical cord. They then wrapped the baby and placed the infant in the care of his mother before her transport to a local hospital. Due to the high level of stress and having to care for both the mother and child, these members continued to perform at the highest level of professionalism in providing patient care. Lieutenant Sogg performed a follow-up visit with the father several days later and found that the mother and daughter were doing well and were both home. Please join me in recognizing these firefighters with a unit citation for their courageous actions during this stressful event. Nice job. Michael, nice job. Sergeant Aaron Edgar, Officer Tim Farrell, Officer Andy Hudacek, Officer Chris Frankowiak, Officer Haley Paris, and Officer Michael Daisley in K-9 Aries. On December 17th of 2013, these officers were dispatched to the area of the Fountain Park Apartments located off Grand River Avenue between Meadowbrook Road and Novi Road. The report was 4 suspicious people were seen walking in the parking lots and checking the door handles of several vehicles. When Officer Daisley arrived on the scene, he observed the footprints in the snow going from car to car. As other officers were arriving, Officer Daisley observed the 4 suspects walking together. He ordered them to stop, and it was at that time that the 4 took off running. Officers Daisley and Farrell were able to take one of the 4 suspects into immediate custody. Officer Daisley and his partner Aries tracked a second suspect to the south of the complex, where he also was taken into custody. During that same time, Sergeant Aaron Edgar found a set of footprints in the snow near Meadowbrook Road, and as Sergeant Edgar continued checking the area, he located the 3rd subject on Claremont Street. When the suspect recognized Sergeant Edgar's police car, he took off running despite multiple orders to stop. Eventually, the suspect was taken into custody after being located a short distance away. Later, by Officers Frankowiak and Daisley and the K-9 Aries, the suspect was ultimately apprehended. The 4th subject was later located at a nearby gas station by Officer Chris Frankowiak. Officers Haley Paris and Andy Hudacek interviewed the suspects, and a confession was obtained from one that all 4 were involved in stealing GPS units from unlocked motor vehicles. Follow-up investigations at the scene turned up the victims of these larcenies. Despite the inclement weather and the lack of knowledge whether a crime had been committed, these officers reacted to their instinct and relied upon their experience to tell them something was suspicious. They went above and beyond, working the case backwards, proving in fact a crime was committed, and arresting all 4 suspects. All 4 individuals were successfully charged with larceny from a motor vehicle and has since pled guilty to felony larceny from motor vehicle, and they await sentencing. If not for the quick and effective response by these officers, these crimes would have likely remained unsolved. Please join me in congratulating these men and women as they receive a unit citation for their efforts. Good job, Aaron. Officer Tim Harper, Officer Jim Brandon. And Sergeant John Nelson. On August 30th, 2013, Sergeant John Nelson and Officers Brandon and Harper were dispatched to 50438 Oregon in reference to a suicidal subject inside the home with a loaded shotgun and a knife indicating he wanted to kill himself. Upon arrival, Sergeant Nelson directed officers Brandon and Harper to set up a perimeter around the home, trying to establish some kind of visual sight inside the home. Additional officers were summoned to respond and assist. Sergeant Nelson immediately called the subject on his cellular phone, and the subject confirmed that he did in fact have a loaded shotgun and was intent on taking his life. Sergeant Nelson also learned through his line of questioning that the subject's mother was inside the home. While officers Harper and Brandon maintained a safe area to secure the home and keep surrounding neighbors away, Sergeant Nelson exercised exceptional communication skills, negotiation skills, and keeping the subject calm and relaxed as possible. After a conversation with the individual, he ultimately put the gun down and surrendered, walking outside the home. He was taken into protective custody and transported to an area hospital for medical treatment and psychiatric evaluation. Upon securing the suspect, Sergeant Nelson entered the home and did in fact find the shotgun right where the suspect said it would be. The gun was in fact loaded with 9 rounds of ammunition, and his mother remained unharmed. Upon further investigation, messages were found on the suspect's cell phone stated he wanted to kill himself. I offer my sincerest thanks and appreciation to Sergeant John Nelson for his effective communication skills and negotiation skills in diffusing an otherwise dangerous and deadly situation. It is with great honor he is awarded a merit citation. I am also honored to recognize Officer Harper for his effort, the effective tactics he and Officer Brandon did in assisting Sergeant Nelson in securing the scene until additional resources could arrive. Their actions in the face of great danger were exceptional to say the least, and we'd like to recognize them with a unit citation. Congratulations. Nice job, Tim. John, nice job. Well done. Sergeant Michael Warren. On June 7, 2013, at 5 p.m., the Novi Police Department was dispatched to 23553 Haggerty Road on a welfare check. The caller reported from Texas that she received an email recently from her brother, who lives at the Haggerty Road address, instructing the caller to contact the Novi Police after 8 a.m. the next morning and that they would find his body in the basement. Sergeant Warren arrived on the scene and was awaiting backup when he initiated contact at the door. As he knocked on the door, it was at that time he heard a single gunshot come within inside the home. He immediately radioed for assistance and began to set up a perimeter. Early on, the decision was made to deploy the Southwest Oakland Special Response Team, a trained team of special individuals with advanced special weapons and tactics training. Sergeant Warren also requested the assistance from the Farmington Hills Police Department due to this being rush hour and us having to close down a major arterial roadway entering into the complex. As the only command officer at the scene, Sergeant Warren coordinated all efforts, dedicated common radio channels, and directed all arriving officers to positions of safety while the special response team responded. Additionally, Sergeant Warren gathered key intelligence on the layout of the complex as well as an actual floor plan from the complex management. Although the resident was eventually found deceased, Sergeant Warren's efforts played a vital role in the quick, decisive, and rapid deployment of personnel and robots, bringing the situation to a peaceful ending for all of the police officers and the SRT members who responded. Please join me in congratulating Sergeant Michael Warren for his efforts in coordinating and directing multiple personnel at a very high-risk scene. Congratulations on your award of a unit citation. Captain Phil Desminski, Captain Mark Tyson, and Lieutenant Ryan Byrne. In March of 2013, Captains Desminski, Tyson, and Lieutenant Byrne developed and implemented a new system for recognizing and informing all Novi first responders, dispatch, fire, and police of potential hazardous material storage facilities and usage sites throughout our community. This new program implementation not only shows the locations, but also the safety and rescue information is yet another quick reference that all can be utilized in the field for saving lives within our community. This information is prepared and reviewed by emergency responders at weekly CompStat briefings and by fire crews at all shift briefings. Their actions will ensure our first responders are informed of what chemicals and high hazards are in place when responding to these respective locations. Please join me in congratulating these three command officers for the initiative, the dedication, and the commitment that they chose to implement this saving program, which will assist their first responders in a time of emergency. Please join me in recognizing them with a merit citation. Detective Michael Bender, Officer Haley Penzak. On August 5th, 2013, at approximately 11:36 p.m., Officer Haley Penzak stopped the vehicle for a simple traffic violation. She was later assisted by then Officer Bender. Officer Penzak's keen intuitions led her to believe there was an odor of narcotics, and specifically marijuana, coming from within the vehicle. A probable cause search of the vehicle revealed several GPS units in the trunk of the vehicle's compartment. Suspecting the GPS units were stolen, Officer Penzak and Bender began searching through the GPS units' saved addresses, and they actually were able to locate the home addresses of several victims from West Bloomfield Township who had recently had their GPS units stolen. The owner and operator of the motor vehicle was arrested for felony receiving and concealing stolen property. Officer Bender, now Detective Bender, interviewed the registered owner, who confessed to several other larceny from auto cases in West Bloomfield. If not for Officer Haley Penzak's ambitious pursuit of traffic enforcement and their relentless follow-up and assessment by both officers, many criminal cases would have gone unsolved. This serves as yet another example of how a simple traffic stop can lead to taking criminals off the street and multiple crimes being solved. It is truly an honor to award Officer Haley Penzak and Detective Michael Bender with a unit citation for their investigative efforts and relentless follow-up. Thank you both for a job well done. Firefighters Eric Hansers and firefighter Eric Leong. On July 8th of 2013 at 7:20 p.m., firefighters Hanser and Leong responded to 22606 Brook Forest Drive on a call for assistance. The initial dispatch was for a duty crew-only response for a reported gas can burning in a backyard. Upon arriving, these two firefighters found a 20-pound propane tank venting flames onto the back of the residence with fire extension into the soffit and the home's attic. They immediately called for a structural response and began exterior fire suppression operations. Their direct actions and effective fire stream placement had prevented further fire involvement and property loss. Please join me in recognizing firefighters Hanser and Leong for their quick and effective response in knocking down the fire, calling and initiating a structural response, and for their efforts in minimizing the damage to property for this homeowner. Congratulations. Eric, nice job. Eric, nice job. Could I have Officer Jared Womble of the Southfield Police Department join us? On Saturday, April 6, 2013, the Novi Police Department was dispatched to a fight involving multiple subjects at 12 Mile Crossing at Fountain Walk. Upon arrival, officers quickly learned that a 15-year-old female who resides in the city of Southfield had been brutally assaulted and stomped by several suspects. The victim was punched, kicked, stomped, and spat on several times. She suffered a broken foot, a severe bruised strain on her neck, and multiple bruises and contusions about her head and body. The Novi Police Department had no suspects or witnesses of this senseless and brutal attack. On Monday, April 8th, Officer Jared Womble of the Southfield Police Department contacted Detective Mark Booty with vital information about the assault. Officer Womble is currently assigned to Southfield High School as their school liaison officer, and he overheard kids talking at school about a female being assaulted and instantly began obtaining information. He was able to ultimately secure a video of the assault, which a witness had taken at the scene. This video showed the victim laying in a fetal position as she was being assaulted by several male and female suspects. Officer Womble assisted the Novi Police Department with conducting several interviews of witnesses and potential suspects, and as a result of his efforts and assistance, we were able to identify 2 suspects, one of which organized, directed, coordinated, and carried out this brutal assault. Both juvenile suspects were charged with aggravated assault by the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office and await their final disposition in probate court. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking and congratulating Officer Jared Womble for his keen instincts and relentless follow-up and assessment as he assisted us in identifying and prosecuting 2 very violent juvenile offenders. Officer Womble, you're a fine example of an excellent investigator, and thank you for a job well done. Thank you. Well done. Detective Jerry Stempian. Detective Jerry Stempian is an investigator with the Novi Police Department assigned to the Southeast Michigan Financial Crimes Task Force, which operates out of our investigations section here at the Novi Police Department. Detective Stempian was investigating multiple cases involving the fraudulent purchase of motor vehicle parts from Novi car dealerships, which included Marty Feldman Chevrolet and Feldman Kia in December of 2012, Varsity Lincoln in August of 2012, and Suburban Chrysler in February of 2013. In those incidents, a subject would call the dealerships and request specific auto parts be delivered to a predetermined location in the city of Detroit. The suspect would then pay the delivery person for the items with a fraudulent check. These crimes resulted in the theft of more than $40,000 in automobile parts over a 3-month period. On March 21st of 2013, a prearranged location for the delivery of auto parts was scheduled at 9 a.m. in the 19,000 block of West Warren in the city of Detroit. During the delivery of these parts, an arrest attempt was made of 2 suspects, with 1 suspect being taken into custody immediately. The second suspect was observed in a Ford Expedition and accelerating away from the scene. The suspect was driving directly towards Detective Stempian and was accelerating at a high rate of speed, coming dangerously close to pinning Detective Stempian between a cement wall of a building and the Expedition itself. Detective Stempian, in fear of his life, identified himself as a police officer and ordered the suspect to stop. The suspect continued driving directly at the detective, who then fired 4 shots at the suspect, striking him all 4 times. The suspect continued to flee at a high rate of speed, nearly striking a Michigan State Police trooper who was assisting in the takedown. Trooper Swanson of the Michigan State Police pursued the suspect, who later crashed into a fence near Plymouth and Piedmont in the city of Detroit. After a very short foot pursuit, Trooper Swanson took this suspect into custody, who was transported to Sinai Grace Hospital for additional treatment. This suspect is currently facing felony charges in 3 different counties for attempted murder, resist and obstruct, fleeing elude a police officer, and multiple counts of uttering and publishing due to the fraudulent transactions with the Novi dealerships. I am very proud and honored to recognize Detective Jerry Stempian with this department citation in recognition of his brave and calm efforts in the face of extreme danger. His actions removed another violent criminal from the streets of Southeast Michigan. Congratulations, Jerry. Nice job, buddy. Very proud of you. Fire Protection Officers Charlie Roberts and Jonathan Gerns Hazlitt. Northville Township Fire Department Lieutenant Brian Siriani. Nurse Anesthetist Lynn Meisel. And Registered Nurse Heidi Tate. I would also ask the community EMS paramedics Robert Koneski and Stephanie Likvarchik if you could also join us. On the afternoon of October 23, 2013, at approximately 4:08 p.m., Squad 4, staffed by Fire Protection Officers Charles Roberts and Jonathan Gerns Hazlitt, responded to 49,011 Mile for an unresponsive person. Upon arrival, the Squad 4 crew found one male subject, Mr. Walter Roscoe, unresponsive with no pulse and no respiration, with three bystanders, Lieutenant Brian Siriani, Miss Meisel, and Miss Tate, all performing coordinated rounds of CPR on the victim. Fire Protection Officers Gerns and Roberts took over CPR from the three citizens who courageously continued to assist. After multiple rounds of CPR by Fire Protection Officer Gerns, Hazlitt, and Roberts, community EMS paramedics Robert Konesko and Stephanie Likvarchik provided advanced life support measures, including shocks to the patient with an automatic external defibrillator. Mr. Roscoe was transported to a nearby hospital and regained consciousness during his transport. He was able to talk to emergency room staff during his patient care. According to the emergency room doctors, the life-saving efforts of these highly trained EMS personnel were obviously and absolutely critical in the life-saving efforts and actions that helped to bring the pulse and respiration back for Mr. Roscoe. A follow-up was conducted with Mr. Roscoe's granddaughter, who stated that upon a lengthy recovery at Providence Park Hospital here in Novi and in Southfield, and at a local advanced care facility, Mr. Roscoe was discharged in December and doing well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor and privilege to recognize these individuals for their selfless acts of kindness and professionalism, and it is with a great deal of honor and pride that we recognize these personnel with a life-saving award. Lieutenant, well done. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. Stephanie, congratulations. Very well done. Okay. Officer Steve Baylog, Fire Protection Officer Paul Mullett, Fire Protection Officer Patrick Deneau, Fire Protection Officer Jeffrey Lockman, Paramedic Kristen Schnuty, and Paramedic Pamela Davison. On August 27th of 2013, Officer Baylog and members of the Novi Fire Department were dispatched to a parking lot in the area of 31,000 block of Beach Walk for a subject not breathing. Officer Baylog found Victor Boykinen not breathing and without a pulse. Mr. Boykinen's friend stated he had just collapsed after loading a cooler into a vehicle. Officer Baylog acted alone by immediately attaching an automatic external defibrillator, an AED, to the individual and delivered a shock. After doing so, Officer Baylog then began multiple rounds of CPR, and after approximately 2 minutes, another shock was administered. Shortly thereafter, Fire Protection Officers Paul Mullett, Jeffrey Lockman, and Patrick Deneau arrived on scene and assumed patient care. Community Emergency Medical Services paramedics Christian Snooty and Pamela Davis could not establish an airway upon their arrival. CPR was continued while community EMS established an IV, administered life-saving medications. Paramedics were able to regain a heart rate, and despite that heart rate, Mr. Bokanen was still not breathing. Novi firefighters continued to assist with breathing by use of a bag valve mask, and firefighter Patrick Deneau continued assisting Mr. Bokanen's breathing in the ambulance while the paramedics continued administering life-saving medications through the IV. By the time they arrived at Providence Park Hospital, Mr. Boykanen was breathing on his own. According to emergency room personnel, the efforts exerted by these first responders played a significant and vital role in Mr. Boykanen's survival. Officer Baylog visited Mr. Boykanen several weeks later, who expressed great gratitude for everyone's efforts in saving his life. Unfortunately, Mr. Boykanen could not be here with us, but he passes on his thanks and appreciation to all these fine members. I am very proud to recognize each one of these dedicated first responders with a life-saving award. Congratulations. What's this, about 6 now?
I think it's 4.
6 sounds better. Jeffrey, nice job.
Thanks, Chief.
Turn to look at the picture here. There you go, buddy. Patrick, nice job, buddy.
Thanks.
Well done. Pamela, thank you. Well done. Thank you. Awesome job. Could I have Mr. Rick Mitchell join us on the platform? Rick Mitchell joined the Novi Police Department as our communications manager in August of 2010 after 28 years of exemplary service at the White Lake Township Police Department, where he retired as the rank of lieutenant in charge of patrol operations. Rick's prior law enforcement experience has proven invaluable in quickly understanding our organization, and his transition has been seamless over the course of the past 4 years. He has demonstrated thorough and knowledgeable work not only through his actions, but his outstanding leadership, management, and mentoring, which is needed to enhance the daily operations of the service provided to the Novi Police and Fire Departments. Throughout 2013, Rick continued to foster relationships staff from Oakland County Clemis, various police and fire departments within departments throughout the city, as well as outside vendors to ensure our communications facilities, as well as our vehicles, were operating at optimal levels. Rick also serves as the department's voting member on the Public Safety Answering Point Coordinators Group for Oakland County. Rick values the importance of lifelong learning, and in July of 2012, he earned a Bachelor of Science degree from Madonna University. Rick's an avid reader of leadership books and strives to integrate best practices into the workplace every single day. This was evident in November of 2013 when he was selected as our Public Safety Employee of the Month for mentoring many of our cadets and new police officers for his fair and objective leadership in the Communications Center. Rick was previously selected for this honor in July of 2011 for his leadership and positive attitude during several projects he took responsibility for leading and coordinating. In 2013, he volunteered his time for several events, including the Addicted to Games, Not Drugs, the Novi Police and Fire Benevolent Association golf outing, our Fall for Novi open house, and the active shooter drill conducted at 12 Oaks Mall. In addition to his daily duties, Rick has been assigned the following projects and responsibilities. He coordinates the day-to-day fleet maintenance schedule of all police vehicles. He coordinated the reorganization of our evidence garage into a second sally port to bring in prisoners to the building with a secure evidence storage. He developed a vehicle replacement tracking system which projects the replacement cycle of all patrol cars, and this is a critical function in the planning process since many of our new patrol vehicles are built in Australia and require a 4 to 6 month lead time to arrive here in the United States. Rick has also coordinated and supervised the police department's parking lot improvement projects over the last 2 years and has assumed coordination for the purchase of our new police vehicles, including the removal and installation of over $30,000 of technical equipment. Rick assists in the installation of our in-car cameras and in-car workstation for all vehicles and their continued maintenance. He oversees the communication agreements for the automatic mutual aid agreements which exist between the Novi Fire Departments, the City of Wixom Fire Department, and the Northville City Fire Department. In addition, Rick is one of our lead background reviewers for a new technology of license plate readers, which will ultimately be brought to Novi likely within the next 24 months. Rick's positive attitude, his willingness to become involved in problem solving and encouraging leadership at all levels of the organization certainly warrants him worthy for a recognition. Add in his commitment to the overall mission of the Novi Police and Fire Departments, it's my distinct honor to recognize Rick Mitchell as our 2013 Civilian of the Year. Congratulations. You got to hold this down so you can. The floor is yours.
Oh, I got nothing to say.
Oh, you got something to say. Speak loud.
Well, thank you for those who nominated me and the awards board for the vote. At this point in my career and my age, this is certainly unexpected. It's certainly honored. Most of the credit, I think, goes to the dispatch. Outstanding group of people, particularly the shift leaders who do all the heavy lifting for me and keep the ship on course. My thanks to them. My thanks to all you for showing up. And thank you to the director for letting me be part of this organization, and to the staff that I get to work with. It's a great place, and I have a good time. Thank you very much.
Firefighter Mark Pearson, you could please join us. Firefighter Mark Pearson began his career with the Novi Fire Department in August of 1995, and since then, Mark has developed the drive and determination that exemplifies a leader among his fellow firefighters. He has taken on the task each and every year of organizing and running the Novi Goodfellows organization here in the city of Novi, as well as serving as the chairperson on the City of Novi's Planning Commission. In addition to his full-time job and commitments to our department, Mark also serves as the president of the Novi Rotary Club and a board member for the Novi Police and Fire Benevolent Association. Every year, Mark is contacted with additional names of needy families from around our area at Christmas time, and through his tireless efforts, he's able to assist them to ensure they have food on the table and gifts for their children. Oftentimes, Mark has been known to donate his personal funds to assist in this endeavor. I certainly don't know where he finds the time, but he's always present at River Day, Arbor Day, the Novi Youth Assistance Bowl-a-thon, and many other volunteer events here in the city of Novi. Mark continues to be an asset to his fellow coworkers in the Novi Fire Department, and he's as being voted Firefighter of the Month in December of 2013, recognized for his commitment, attention to detail, and the warm and friendly, compassionate demeanor he displays on all emergency runs. Mark is truly a model for others to follow. For those he encounters, he continues to display that highest level of professionalism in responding to medical emergencies, structural fires, and interacting with the public and mentoring fellow firefighters. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a great deal of pride that we honor firefighter Mark Pearson as the City of Novi's 2013 Firefighter of the Year. Congratulations. The floor is yours.
I'd like to thank Director Malloy, Director Johnson, the staff, the awards committee for this honor. I just want to make sure that it's spelled correctly. Clay, I know you're out there. Thank you. It's humbling to receive an award like this, but it's part of the great team that exists in Novi that you don't see day in, day out, except for when the emergency happens and we happen to be there to try to help out. It's part of the DNA that is part of the Novi Public Service Department that really I'm proud to be part of. I have to thank my family, my wife, Kathy, my daughters, Lindsay and Mackenzie, my longtime partner, Mike. who is also a great chef, the only person that I know that can fall asleep in mid-sentence. My sister Liz that came from Florida today, our friend Josh Rogers that also came. This is something that I think you'll see if you have the experience at a time of crisis. You'll see the professionalism that comes out as a result of all the things that you've heard of tonight. That's what we are, and that's what we're a part of. We're here as part of a family, and our extended family is all of those inside the city of Novi, or those that come into the city of Novi to shop or something like that. I thank everybody for this, and have a nice night.
Officer Eric Lindblade. Officer Eric Lindblade started his career with the Novi Police Department in January of 1999 after graduating from the Delta Police Academy. Officer Lindblade is a graduate of Saginaw Valley State University, where he excelled in the pursuit of his bachelor degree in criminal justice and also on the baseball field for the Saginaw Valley State University Cardinals. Since joining the Novi Police Department, Officer Lindblade has been a leader in our uniform division. Officer Lindblade strives to fulfill his desire for career development through special assignments as a training officer, a hostage negotiator, a detective in the South Oakland Narcotics Intelligence Consortium, and more recently as a member of the Southwest Oakland Special Response Team. All this while maintaining a compassionate, positive, and winning attitude at all times. Officer Lindblade has been dedicated his career to training, ensuring that the next generation of Novi police officers meet the highest standards not only expected of our organization, but expected of our community. Officer Lindblade is the sole instructor of the Standardized Field Sobriety Testing Program in the Novi Police Department, and as such, he is the foundation behind hundreds of Novi's drunk driving arrests throughout the year. This effort's an enormous responsibility, taking Officer Lindblade away from his everyday responsibilities and training every one of our men and women in uniform. While doing so, Officer Lindblade never wavers from exceptional high performance. Most notable, Officer Lindblade is assigned to the prestigious position as a field training officer and has excelled within the program. His field training supervisor recognizes that Officer Lindblade, as a leader within the unit, sets the example of exemplary performance for all of the other field training unit officers to follow. Officer Lindblade's informal leadership does not stop with the field training program. Within the last 3 years, he has participated in an exhaustive selection process, winning out one of 4 positions on the Southwest Oakland County Special Response Team. Officer Lindblade assumed an informal leadership spot by being active in the research, review, and purchasing of the necessary special response equipment needed by these men. In a less glamorous role, Officer Lindblade submits a detailed monthly community policing report highlighting the dozens of contacts he has with Novi homeowners and business leaders throughout his policing district. Officer Lindblade goes above and beyond his expectations, ensuring his community contacts are receiving the best possible service as well as the most recent crime information and crime prevention tips. Officer Lindblade displays and demonstrates every single day his commitment to the Novi Police Department, the citizens of this community, and the overall mission of our organization. It's not for one standout moment, but a culmination of positive attitude, demonstration of outstanding leadership with his assignments and training, and his tireless efforts for career development that Officer Lindblade is recognized as the 2013 Officer of the Year. Congratulations. Good job, buddy. Okay. The floor is yours.
Just want to thank everyone for being here tonight, and my wife, Nicole. One sleeping now. Thank you for everyone for helping me out through this the last 15 years, and thanks for the Chiefs for everything, and thanks for nominating me for this. Thank you.
Mark, I think he said his daughter fell asleep quicker than Mike. I don't know. I'd like to recognize our administrative assistant in the Public Safety Administration, Miss Renee Landis. Renee, if you could just raise your hand back there somehow. Thank you. I didn't want to see what she's going to be like tomorrow because she's going to be very upset that we did that. But I wanted to recognize Renee because she's spent dozens and dozens of hours going through these award nominations and the write-ups and ensuring everything was complete and accurate on all the certificates and plaques that all of our men and women received tonight. She's an outstanding resource to our organization and is really, as some put it, the glue that kind of holds the organization together. So, Renee, thank you for a job well done. In closing, I would like to congratulate all the members who are recognized here this evening. I'd also like to thank those who attended this evening who may not have received an award, but took the time to honor your colleagues with your presence and your ultimate words of praise. I'd also like to thank the family members of our firefighters and police officers who are here this evening and who stand by our teams every single day, not knowing if mom's coming home from work or if dad made it through the shift safely. You all have my highest praise and appreciation, and without you, this would not be possible. To all of our first responders and supporters here this evening, I offer a heartfelt thank you. This concludes our award ceremony this evening, and may God bless.